Welcome back to the Omnibuses Cafe. My name's Kevin, and today I have the absolute pleasure and honor to interview the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Conditions. Hit that subscribe button, grab your cup of coffee, and let's go meet Omar. Well, welcome everyone to the Omnibuses Cafe. My name's Kevin, and I don't think he needs an introduction, but this is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Conditions.
Hello, thank you, Kevin, for having me. And of course I need an introduction.
Of course he does. Well, you and I have never met except for 2 minutes ago in the green room, we'll call it. We've spoken before on Facebook and in the cafe and in Discords and such, but I just want to let you know we really appreciate you spending your time with us this afternoon.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, and I think probably just based on kind of what we do, maybe we should talk comics today. What do you say?
Sure. Yeah. That's what I thought we were going to talk about, but it's your show, so you could ask me anything.
Good. Well, I've got a few just kind of grease the wheel, get us loose, get us feeling good questions. So I'm going to share my screen and ask you some questions. Now, you got to answer these relatively quickly. That's kind of rapid
relatively
fire.
Quickly. Have you heard me talk? I don't do that, but I will try.
Well, Omar talked good one day. We all know. All right. So here's the premise of this question, okay. Omar. Thanos shows up at your doorstep, and he's got the Infinity Gauntlet with the Infinity Gems, not the Infinity Stones.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to snap away all of your collected edition books, but he allows you to keep one publisher. Who do you keep? Marvel, DC, Image?
Oh, that's so rough. Oh, that's a tough. Okay, Marvel. You said quick. Marvel. That's where I started. And yeah, that's. I mean, I wouldn't be here without Marvel comics. Like
that is true. No,
my first comics. Yeah.
As I wrote these, I thought of what would my answer be, and I'm a big Marvel guy as well, but I feel like I couldn't live without my indie books. So what if he said, Omar, you can keep Marvel, DC, or like your creator owned / indie books?
Like all of creator owned?
Yeah.
No X-Men. So I got to go with Marvel.
You're sticking Marvel. Okay.
I got to go with Marvel, man.
I dig it. I kind of assumed that'd be the answer. All right. Get your Kleenex out.
Okay.
After years of marital bliss, the astonishing Melanie suddenly leaves you for Remy LeBeau, Gambit.
Uh-huh.
Now, obviously, there's going to be a grieving period on your end.
Yeah.
But once that's over, which ex-lady does Omar pursue?
All of the above. All the ones above my head. And
so you're just
by all of them, I'm sure. But I will still take my shot.
You take your shot. You can't pick one?
Oh, I mean,
one of them you can never touch.
Storm or Rogue or Psylocke. Oh my goodness. Woo! I'd like a challenge. Rogue. Final answer.
You're gonna go Rogue. All right. I thought you'd go Storm, but
Savage Land Storm. Oh man, this is tough. But I like a little bit of a challenge, so I'm gonna go with Rogue.
I don't know if you've read Life Death, and I know you have multiple times. I don't know how you can't be in love with Storm.
Yeah, she's a wonderful character. One of the greatest characters.
All right. Loki, that mischievous devil, the god of mischief, he has banished you to a desert island. And right before he does, you reach out and grab 2 books. Which 2 books do you take with you?
I have thought about this often, and I've answered this quite a bit of times. It's tough because I was like, woo, I got to go with something that's going to take me a while to read. So maybe like Jack Kirby's Fourth World Omnibus. It's got a lot of narrative and a lot of dialogue, and it's a chunker of a book. And then I'm like, well, maybe something that gives me hope. And I will go with X-Men. Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 3 has my favorite X-Men stories in there. Has my first X-Men comic I ever got. And I think I'll stick with something like Jack Kirby's Fourth World, because if it's something like Gotham Central, if I keep reading it over and over, it's great, it's awesome, but I also know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go with something like that.
I figured you'd take some of like DC's like 1,600 page books and maybe use them as a flotation device to escape or something, but you went a different route.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought about reading.
All right. Wilson Fisk has pinned you for murder.
Okay.
And you, unfortunately, cannot afford Matt Murdock. So you now sit on death row. What is Omar's last meal?
Oh, oh my gosh. It would be something that my mom makes. So probably something like her seco, which is a very traditional Peruvian dish. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
What's in seco?
It's pork and this green sauce and it's rice. Oh man, I love it. Potatoes.
That sounds fantastic. So maybe I'll join you.
Not for the last meal, but you're more than happy to come join me.
All right. Well, into the meat of the questions here, the serious stuff.
Okay.
So, Omar, you're a father, you're a husband, and you're, for a few years now, a full-time YouTuber. Yeah. How do you find time to relax and get some reading in?
I make time. It's not easy, and sometimes I need to be reminded that my daughters need something, and like we just did a little weekend getaway because it was their spring break, so it's about making sure I'm staying ahead. So if I know if I have something like that happening, I double down on videos, or sometimes triple down on videos, making sure there's enough content for the channel, because I put out 1 or 2 videos a day, and it's a lot, but also it's something that it's what my viewers are used to. It's what I have kind of established the channel to be. So it's really my own fault, but also it's something that needs to be done. And I just have to stay ahead, and I do this full time. So I treat it like a full-time job. It's getting up in the morning, either working out or going right to the shower, start reading or finish reading from the previous night, and work out my day like that. There's lunch breaks, there is screen breaks, because as you're editing, you got to get away from the screen for a little while, go outside for a while. There are times that I just stay home. I don't go out anywhere because I work from home. This is what I do. And then sometimes I need a mental break. So sometimes I text my friends and like, hey, you guys want to go grab some drinks, or just go out with the family, go watch a movie. I love watching movies in theaters because that legit is the only place I can break away from everything, including my cursed phone.
The cursed phone.
Yeah, seriously, man. Movie theaters, that's it. Because if I watch movies at home, every once in a while, like I'll look at my phone going, what am I doing? I need to focus on watching the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, when it comes to reading, I do the same thing. I have to put my phone away and listen to music as I read. Yeah, so I take it seriously, and I do relax by making myself relax or being reminded that I need a break.
Now, do you ever feel pressure to read something because you got the book and you're doing an overview of it, even if it's something that you maybe wouldn't read if you weren't doing this full time?
Oh yeah, a lot. Like anytime there's a book that pops in from the golden age or silver age, which is not really my cup of tea, it's me having to look at my schedule going, okay, I need to set time aside to read this, because this is not an afternoon light read. This is a couple of weeks to get my video out. So yeah.
Well, and that golden age and silver age stuff just wasn't meant to be kind of binge read, right? It was, every month that the book came out, they were kind of reintroducing themselves to a new young audience. So you can't do it the same way you can with, modern stuff.
No, it was a different form of storytelling, and I respect it. And there were some great stories that came out of that era, but also some really long, drawn out single issues. And when you have an omnibus full of 36 of those issues, it kind of gets monotonous, and like you need to take a break. But there are several times that I'm not, enjoying a book.
Yeah.
And and I have to finish it because I need to have a video out. Even if I'm not giving a review of the topic or the review of the story, I'm doing a review of what the book is. So I
Yeah.
feel like I owe it to the people that worked on it to finish it out and read it.
And the people that watch you, I mean, they trust you as kind of this source of knowledge. So
Yeah.
now, is there a golden age or silver age book that you'd say goes against that kind of grain, and you can?
Oh, I mean, there are several golden age, silver age books that I do enjoy that I think are phenomenal. Well, we were just talking about the Fourth World, like that, for example, from the Silver Age going into, I guess, the Bronze Age. I think that immediately, there are some slow burns like the Jimmy Olsen issues. But just like from a historical aspect, there's a lot of phenomenal golden age stuff from the comic strips like Flash Gordon, Prince Valiant, and Dick Tracy to the comic books too. I mean, well, we can't forget about Will Eisner's Spirit. So there's some phenomenal stories out there, some lost gems that a lot of publishers these days have kind of been bringing out to the spotlight. Like a lot of them by Fantagraphics, like the Atlas era of comics or the Timely. Yeah, it's really cool. Not everything is, I'm not one of these people that's everything is across the board is awful. But I also know that when it comes to silver and golden age, I do need to take time, set it aside to make sure I get the reading done.
Yeah. Kind of like how people rave about, and I'm one of them, rave about the 80s, right? The magical decade, but that doesn't mean everything from the 80s was fantastic.
Well, I think our favorite era of comics or movies, maybe even music, is really what we grew up with. So everybody's a little bit different. I love the 80s because that's the era of comics that I got huge into comics. So that's my favorite era of comic books to me. I don't think anything surpasses it.
I would agree. So, I mean, I started reading in like, I don't know, 95-ish. And looking back on 95, it was a weird era for Marvel, 96 through like 99.
95. It was a weird era for comics, right? We had the whole implosion. We had several things. You were 95. I think you were coming in at some of the best times for comics, and then immediately some of the worst time for comics. Like the comic boom was about to implode.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember getting Wolverine off the rack at the gas station. That's where I got my comics, was the gas station.
Yeah.
And I've got Wolverine Volume 5 back here, and I reread it. I'm like, it's not as good as I remember it, but it still has that nostalgic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It means something.
Yeah, nostalgia goes a long way with these stories.
So you started reading the 80s. Earlier, you mentioned the first book you've ever gotten. I know you've told this story 1,000 times, but I've got a terrible memory. What was the first?
So it was a care package from my uncle who lived in America. Sent me a box of like candy and little digest size Archie comics and single issues, but it was Uncanny X-Men 168. It's the one that grabbed my attention and kept my attention. I couldn't even read English because I lived in Peru. So we spoke Spanish, and I started getting their anthologies down there in Peru, which were off and on. Like it wasn't like kind of like a monthly thing that we have here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is from a different era of X-Men. Okay. Yeah. So
that's awesome. That's a great story.
I have X-Men to thank a lot of the things in my life, really kind of crazy to think about.
So the collected edition community is a fantastic place for existing collectors and readers. But one of my favorite things about our community, largely the cafe, the near mint community, all of the YouTubers, sometimes Reddit, sometimes not, is how welcoming we can be to people who show up and they say, hey, I'm new to comics. Where do I start? Or, hey, I'm just getting back into comics and I don't know what the hell an omnibus is. That's one of my favorite things, is how welcoming the community can be. And, people love to fire off their recommendations, their financial expertise. But what advice would you give someone who's just now getting into collected editions?
Save your money. Go get a
Get
go
an
start a
iPad.
family. Go start a family. No, I'm just kidding. I think taking the time to do a little bit of research goes a long way. I think there are many resources available now when it comes to collected editions. You can just Google things. It might lead you to a YouTube video. It might lead you to a Reddit post. It might lead you to a Facebook group.
Yeah.
But there's so much information out there to share with people. And if you're looking for a particular story, especially if you're coming in from like you haven't, my favorite comments are the ones that are people that haven't picked up a comic book in 10, 20 years. And they're like, wow, now it's like being collected in a big oversized book. Yeah. Find out where the story is collected, what version is the best version of the story, what collects the most, what, best bang for your buck. And also research on the different outlets that are out there for retailers. You don't have to get it from your comic book store, but support your local comic book store, of course.
Please do.
But there's plenty of online places that sell these books at a fraction of the cost here in America and in the EU and in Canada, in Australia, I think, but for the most part, but it's not, unfortunately, it's not all over the world.
Yeah.
But they do sell them for a discounted price. So do that research too. And then find a place that you like. Find the place you like ordering from, whether it's the customer service, whether it's the price, whether it's the shipping, whatever it is, find yourself a place that you're like, oh, okay, I can order books from here now. I trust them. They get back to me, or, I trust that my pre-orders aren't canceled, or whatever it is. Like, find that place, and all of it just a little bit of time of researching, because at one time it was the Wild West out here with collected editions. It was insane. Yeah. When I started in 2002, 2003 with collected editions, there were no guides, there were no mapping guides. It was just a nightmare trying to collect things like Superman. There was a forum called Miller World, I think, and part of the forum had some mapping for Superman, if I remember correctly. And that's kind of where I got some of that information, but it was a website, but it wasn't part of the forum anymore, so it was just cache information. And then, of course, the Marvel Masterworks forum, I joined them immediately, and I learned a lot from those guys that have been collecting the Marvel Masterworks, of course. And I really took a lot of that advice that they taught, and yeah, now it's kind of everywhere, right? You mentioned something that's I think about how welcoming we are. That might have to do with the fact that we don't think we are at the top of the food chain when it comes to collected editions, because at the end of the day, these are just reprints. We're not single issue people. I mean, some of us are both. Like, there are hybrids, right, of single issue and
hybrids
editions. But it's interesting to me that they're like collecting a single issue and reading a single issue and collecting collected editions and reading collected editions are almost two different things. Like, they have the world of CGC, which is great if you enjoy it. We don't have anything like that. Thank God. I can't imagine a world where people CGC Omnis. That's just, to me, it's such a ridiculous concept. But I almost made an April Fool's joke about 7 years ago about that. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to piss anybody off, so I'm just going to not do it.
Start a trend.
It's just, I mean, if you think about it, like video games do it, just books do it. I'm like, no, Omnis and Absolute Editions do not. That is what? These are reprints. Like, so maybe it has something to do with that we don't think we are the top of the food chain when it comes to the hierarchy of being snooty and know-it-alls and gatekeeping, right? We love sharing information. We love when people buy the same books we do, unless there's a low print run.
Yeah, Daredevil Soul. I wish almost no one had bought that, so there'd be more available.
Yeah, that's only had one printing. I'm pretty sure it'll come back to print sometime.
It's got 2 years in a row, #1 on the reprint poll, right?
I think you're right. I think it was number one in 2024 or 2025 and 2026.
I
Well, I
think
know it
so.
was number one this year.
So, you and I know this is all over the internet. Every 6 months or so, someone writes a really well researched and thought out article about how comics are dying.
Did you say well researched? Okay, go on.
Little tongue in cheek there. So, and we know that it's not right, and they hopefully never will. But with that in mind,
Comics have been dying since I was a kid, brother.
they've every year or so. There's comics are dying, sales are
Going to the
down.
going to the
Marvel's
comic store
Marvel's
and
going to
hearing
go bankrupt and sell themselves to someone.
well, I mean, it just goes back to the days when I was a kid, like going to the comic book store. All the old guys were like, "Yeah, this is it. There won't be comics in like 5 years. Eat it up while you can." And
So,
I
with
mean,
that being said, and knowing we're probably pretty safe, what do you and then we've also experienced the kind of the ebbs and flows in the collected edition world, right? Lower print runs, books going out of print faster. What do you think is the future of trade paperbacks, absolutes, omnis? Like, where do you see it in 5 years? Is it going to maintain? Do you think it's going to blow up? Do you think are we going to hit a ceiling?
no, I think it will maintain. I mean, it might get bigger. I would love for it to get bigger. I would love for more people to get into collected editions. But honestly, I mean, it's really healthy right now. Last year, we saw some of the biggest sales of collected editions just from one company. And we haven't seen numbers like that since the good part of the 90s.
Yeah.
Not the
Not
bad
the
part.
part we were talking about earlier.
But legit, man, we haven't seen numbers like that. Or I know since I've come back to comics, I hadn't seen numbers like that. And it was insane. And that's just one publisher.
Yeah.
So it is a healthy industry, but just like everything else, right? That is a hobby, ups and downs all the time. And it's just roll with the punches. Like oh my gosh, 2020 was horrible, right? Like kept us at home and we had COVID and people didn't get out of their house. But that surplus check here in America really got a lot of people back into different hobbies, whether it was baseball cards, whether it was toys or comics and collected editions. I mean, anybody that had a YouTube channel back then, I mean, you saw the number of people watching you. You saw the number of people watching. I know my experience was seeing the number of people coming into my live stream and then seeing the growth. My gosh. But realistically, because I come from a world of IT and project management, I saw it as, okay, when is this going to end? And can this still be profitable? Can I still do this once it ends and keep maybe 15-20% of my viewership? And that was something to figure out. But yeah, we have seen the ups and downs. I mean, after 20, we haven't, a lot of the collected editions last year was phenomenal for I know the retailers that I talked to, because I do try to call retailers every year at the end of the year, just kind of hear what they got to say, what's been selling, what hasn't worked for them. And everybody's a little bit different. Brick and mortar stores are a lot different than online stores. And last year was a huge year. This year, I think last month, March was one of the biggest for online retailers. And I've only talked to 4 of them because they were just so happy to share that with me, and that's really cool. I mean, that's just amazing. I love seeing things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think I don't know if it will shoot up anymore, but it's good where it is now.
You think it's healthy? We've got there's a good base of buyers.
Yeah, and I think people are getting the books they want, and I think that's the important thing. People not waiting around or having to wait years in between volumes, or, oh man, is this book ever coming out? Oh, this Justice League book isn't finished. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different world. It's a different time.
Absolutely. So talking about kind of the growth and the continuation of comic books and collected editions, what do you think is something that everyone should do outside of trying to get your kids to read comics, I think that's important. Like you mentioned, you didn't read English, you didn't know English, and you're reading American comic books. I think reading's super important, but what is something that the community should do to pass along comics to the next generation?
Buy up a lot of those little compact books, and every time a movie or a new season of Invincible comes out, start handing them out to your boys that
Yes.
love that show. Oh man, you like that? Dude, they left out so much from the story. It's a lot more brutal than you think. What? For real? Yeah. Here's volume 8. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I see that all the time. I think James Gunn has done an amazing job of that. Unfortunately, of course, it started with The Flash, one of the least profitable movies for DC Comics. But you know, at the very beginning, it was like this movie is based on these stories in the trailer, and I was like, wow, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
And that's what Marvel was doing for a while at the very beginning. Like they were sending out, I remember they were sending out like a cart with comics. So after like Iron Man 1 ended, you walked out of Iron Man and there were like little not mini trade paperbacks. They had digest sized books, but they had like trade paperbacks and of course toys and things like that.
Yeah.
I wish they would do more of that because, you know, we have the corporate synergy. But anybody that has ever enjoyed any of these TV shows, X-Men 97, like, oh my gosh, there's so much that they adapted in that one season that people can be like, oh man, if you like that, you got to read Inferno. You got to read E for Extinction. Like it's a classic story. Yeah, that's what I think needs to happen. I am known as the friend, and I have been the friend, with the exception of the few years that I took a break from reading comics, that every Christmas I would gift my friends a comic, and then later on collected editions every year. Some of them, like, yeah, would humor me and be like, yeah, man, I'll get to that one day.
Yeah.
Probably never. But then others would be like, yo, man, that was pretty dope. What else has this character shown up in, or what else has this person written? So sometimes it works.
So kind of with that in mind, and maybe not to get too morbid, but you and I are probably midway point through this adventure. What are your hopes and dreams? Get the Kleenex out, viewers. What are your hopes and dreams of your collection? And it's not even a collection; you have a library. When you're done, when you're ready to retire and move to an island, or when you pass away, what are your hopes for your books?
My hope for my books are they belong to my kids. Whatever they don't want, they can sell, pay for their own kids' colleges or whatever. You know, it's something that I can leave them, and that's just not this, but it's also my toys, my physical media collection. Yeah, you know, whatever they don't want. I've often thought about this, like how long could I keep this going? It's the best thing I've ever done, but it's really draining at times.
Yeah.
How much reading you have to do, how much filming you have to do, how much editing you have to do. And it's a lot different, you know, and it's like anybody that owns their own business. Sometimes there are things outside of your control that kind of screw you over, and you're like, oh, what am I gonna do now? So my hope is to, yeah, what my kids are like, oh, I want it all. I love comics. Realistically, probably like I will take 10% and my other daughter will take 10%, and then the rest they can sell or whatever. It's up to them. And yeah, I've thought about maybe 20 years time or something, retiring, buying an RV with Melanie and just seeing the country and then traveling the world, getting rid of some stuff here in the basement a little bit at a time. Really, my friend and I, Dan and I, have joked that our retirement is going to be setting up a toy and comic store. That's our retirement. We open up when we want to. And I was like, dude, let's do one even better. I kind of mixed my RV story with that, or my RV idea with that. I'm like, we'll buy an RV and we'll travel America. and we'll let people know what city we're going to next. And he's like a traveling comic and toy shop, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, we're gonna like not make any money doing that. We're just gonna spend it in gas. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm retired.
It'll be fun.
What do I care about making money? I was like, I think you missed the part where we talked about this being our retirement, not making money. So, yeah, who knows? I think that's a cool idea. I've often wanted to open up my own like geek bar. I've been wanting to do that for like 10 years. I came really close about 9 years ago. Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's my kind of retirement, still doing something.
Well, I'm also trying to sell my wife on the RV idea. Sell everything, get an Airstream, and just be gone. But I'd miss my books. I don't know if I could read. I'm on a computer all day for work, and so digital reading does not sound appealing to me. But maybe in the future, when traveling with your books isn't an option.
Yeah. You could have a library section of your RV and take your books there.
Hopefully we get past the way stations.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot about the way stations. Dang it.
So, Omar, I mean, and I'm not inflating things when I say this. You're the top dog in the collected editions world, in the YouTube world.
Oh, thank you, man.
And you've always been very supportive of other YouTube channels, where you could easily be like, no, they're my competition, and I want to do better than them. But I think the cafe, we had been doing YouTube for like 4 days, and you're like, hey guys, we're doing this end of the year video that you do every year. Send us a video, and we were super appreciative of that. We thought that was really cool. But what do you see the role of all of these comic book and collected edition YouTubers? What is their role in the community?
I think it's very similar to myself, or at least I'd like to think that it is, because I don't know how anybody else runs their channel. I do things my way, and that's the only way I've ever known. But I think there's a certain level of responsibility that we also have to have when it comes to running your own channel. Because yes, I'm very humbled, and I get free books from companies, not all of them, of course, but I let people know by thanking, who's ever sent me the book. And also, I never ever say, you need to buy this right now. That to me has never like factored into my overviews. Just like I never say you don't need to buy this, because this is why I don't review books, because reviewing a story is a lot different than reviewing $150 book, or soon to be $175. That is a lot of money to tell people, dude, don't miss out on this. This is very limited. You need to get it now. That I can't do that, because I know that there are some people that drive on FOMO and fear of missing out, and if they don't get something, then it eats them up. And yeah, it's not healthy. So there has to be a certain part of us to take responsibility when it comes to doing overviews of books or talking about stories. That's why I don't do things like going out of print videos when people have asked me to, because yes, it is really easy for me to see what is out of print, because I'm very blessed to have so many connections. Like, oh, this is going out of print. They only have 15 books left.
Because you're kind of driving negativity into the community.
Well, not that. It's just that there's only 15 copies. Let's use Daredevil by Charles Soule. I'll make a video. There's 15 copies of Daredevil by Charles Soule. Who's to say you're not a shop and you're going to go buy them all? You're the first one to watch my video. Right. And on top of that, it's also like, you don't have any money, but you need that book. You need that book.
Yeah.
You don't need to eat the next few days. You don't need to pay your electric bill, but you need that book. Like, nah, man, I ain't doing that to people. That's somebody else can do that. Yeah. That's just, yeah. So I always tell people when things are out of print, I'm like, you do whatever you need to with your money. But this book is already out of print at the distribution level. That's why I immediately try to find out from Marvel and other publishers, like, will this be getting a restock? Will this book come back to print? And I always, let people know, because I don't want people to freak out. Like, I think just recently it was Dawn of X. I let people know it was out of print, but there's going to be a restock in July. Some people can't wait. I get it. It's X-Men. I can't wait either. And even the July stock is out of print right now, but there's going to be a future printing. They haven't decided when yet. So, yeah,
a reprint,
a restock, not a reprint, right? Reprint would require a different ISBN, and
so you and I probably grew up with Wizard magazine. Do you remember Wizard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my buddy Lars used to work there.
I see Lars on your streams all the time, and I'm so envious of his the experiences that he must have had. But we grew up reading Wizard, right? You'd get your stack of comics, and then you go get Wizard for $4.99 or whatever it was, and that told you what was going on in comics. And that's kind of what I see as the YouTube's role, right? They're talking about books, what's coming out. They're interviewing creators. They're interviewing people in the industry. They're talking about the books and spreading the love. So I kind of see it as like a modern day Wizard.
I think so at times, or at least maybe I'd like to think so.
Not as cool. I mean, it'll never be as cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's the comics magazine that is out, and then I'm writing an article in a zine, the comic staple. Awesome. So there are physical things that are out that are like Wizard, but I know there was definitely a cool factor to the Wizard magazine. It was before the internet, right? So it was the first place we ever saw, oh, that's what Jim Lee looks like. Oh, that's what Mark Silvestri looks like. Now, all the hot artists, at the time, like all the 90s, like these, remember they would do the top 10 hot artists, top 10 hot writers. And that was like the first time, because, some of these people didn't go to conventions. Mark Bagley was known for not ever going to conventions, because he was like, I'm drawing 3 books a month. I'm not going to any cons. He's now, I think he is actually retired, only doing covers, and goes to conventions. So wow, what a work ethic. That's amazing.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, I've got some questions from the from the community. These came from the cafe Facebook channel. It came from the cafe's YouTube. It came from Near Mint Discord. So, and some of these are really good questions, but I'll throw them up on the bottom of the screen here. So, do you ever buy or acquire a book just for collecting purposes that you don't intend on reading?
I don't intend on reading. No. I mean, I own Absolute Wildcats. It's not good at all, but it's got beautiful artwork. I'll read some of the word bubbles.
Yeah.
So no, I even that I still read.
So nothing's going on your shelf and staying in the shrink wrap for.
Oh, no. I don't think I have any book unless they just came in that are shrink wrapped.
And I think that's one of the things people love about you, is that you're very pro. Comic books are for reading, not for, putting in a plastic clamshell and hanging up on your wall or leaving on your shelf for years on end. It's for reading.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this question comes straight from your Near Mint Discord, so don't blame me, but why the hell do you love the New Warriors so much?
Oh, that was the right age. It was at a time in the early 90s. I was 12 going on 13 and saw a lot of myself in these characters who also didn't have a place in the world. They got rejected from the Avengers. They got rejected from all the adult teams. So they were like, fine, screw it. I'll do my own thing. And they did. And very similar to why people love the appeal of the new Teen Titans. Same thing, right? Like except they were a bunch of sidekicks, well-known sidekicks. The New Warriors just kind of like new characters that kind of came out of the mind of Tom DeFalco and the editors at Marvel. And love it, man. I love that stuff.
Do we have it all collected?
Yes. I mean, we could do some early stuff, and we can do the Bad New Warrior series that came later, which is volumes 2. Then there's volume 3. There's the Zeb Wells one. That was the Civil War team. Oh, I hated that team. There was one by Kevin Gravel. I like that one. That was post Decimation, and it had a brand new cast of characters. He's the gentleman that did the Underworld movies.
Oh,
That
really?
one's very underrated. I really like that series. But yeah,
Okay.
very very hit and miss with those after. But yeah, I think we've got New Warriors pretty much all collected.
Three volumes of that 90s stuff, right?
Yeah, and then the 4th volume being the Night Thrasher and Nova series, which that's awesome. So all of Justice, all of that. They even included Ultra Girl, which makes me think there might be a volume 4 one day.
Well, so whoever's question that was, go buy New Warriors.
Or maybe they're just trolling.
They very well may be. So, Omar, if you this is kind of like dream job, right? If you ever got to work for Marvel or Image or DC, what would you do? What would your dream job? Would you be a writer? Would you be an artist? A letterer?
I've often wanted to write my own comic. I think anybody that has read comics for any amount of time, that's kind of something we've all wanted to do, was write stories or draw if you're talented enough, or maybe both if you're super talented. Maybe write and then work in the collected editions department. I would love to do that.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be a good hire on anyone's part.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see here. Are there any books or creators? So you're from Peru, you mentioned earlier. Are there any books or creators from Peru that you could spotlight?
There was a comic book that I really liked. I mean, a lot of the comics that I would get from Peru were comics that were part of comic strips. So really none of that stuff, I don't think anybody has ever salvaged and collected. The comic book that I do remember reading was this. It wasn't from Peru, but it was a Chilean comic book named Condorito, which is like a anthropomorphic condor. Like, it's funny because it was marketed as a kid's comic, kind of like Archie, but the men were goofy looking characters while the women were big, voluptuous, gorgeous goddesses. And you think like, wow, this is a kid's book, but it also, I guess, attracted the adult male audience or whomever,
and the young male audience,
and definitely the young male audience. But it was huge. It was huge in Peru. So I mean, there was definitely Peruvian representation within it. But this is a comic book that started like all the way back. I want to say back in the 40s, like late 40s. And it continues, I believe, through this day, still being printed. I haven't seen one in forever, but that's the one that I remember the most. And then, of course, the translations of X-Men and Avengers and things like that. But that's the one that I remember the most. There's a Peruvian gentleman that reached out to me, and he was wondering if. So right now he's working with, like, gosh, what is his? I cannot remember. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name, but he's only doing web comics right now, so he's not doing anything that is collected editions.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would have had him on my channel. But he is working with David Lloyd. Do you know who that is?
V for Vendetta.
Yeah. So David Lloyd is doing this web comic with this gentleman. His name is Carlos Yacolca. He's from Peru. And it's weird. Like David, like they're not doing a physical release of it, but it's in Lloyd's magazine. It's called Aces Weekly. I think it's all web right now.
Very cool.
I was like, dude, if you all ever release this in physical format, I'm your guy.
Well, if I'll in the editing phase, if I find any, I'll put it up. I'll put it up right up here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Next question is, and this is a serious one. I know we went a little deeper earlier on kind of the future of your collection when you leave this world, but this one's kind of in a similar vein, and it is does Omar does Omar wear pants when he's recording his videos?
Recording, like when I'm in front of the camera or when I'm behind the camera? You know what? It doesn't matter. Not all the time, baby. Not all the time. If it's X-Men again, never mind. I'll stop there.
I knew this one would go sideways, but yeah, that's the blessing of this kind of form of YouTube. You'll never know, and you don't deserve to.
Never know unless my camera falls on the one day I decide not to wear pants.
Hope you're not live. All right. So Indiana Jones or Elf? What's getting printed first? We know that Indiana Jones, the Marvel stuff, 2 years in a row at #1, which a lot of people were shocked year one, and then this year more recently. I got to be honest with you, I'll buy it. They put out the Indiana Jones stuff.
I think it's crazy just how big the group is that really wanted, and how many people have been collecting comics. And I mean, if you look at the comments of that video, it's really cool how many people came out and went, "Nope, I voted for it and I want it." Like, because we made the comment within the video that people seem to think that the group was hijacked, that the poll was hijacked by Indiana Jones people. No, they're legit people that really want this. Just like there are legit people that really wanted Conan, legit people that wanted Rom and Godzilla and Micronauts. It is definitely one of those IPs that it would be Marvel that could print it, but it's a little different than Star Wars. It would still have to be approved by, I think, another group other than Disney. Yeah. So I don't know. This is a tough one. Oh my God. I would like to think Indiana Jones before Alf, but even Alf will have some kind of market audience, I'm sure.
I can't wait for that overview.
I will let Melanie do that one.
Well, last question we have from you that came from the community. How does Omar decide what books get to stay in his library?
No, that is a great question. Sometimes I keep my newer printings. Sometimes I keep my original printings. I have Dom of X has been helping me out on the channel. Sometimes I ask him if he wants the older printing, or sometimes I have friends, and sometimes I have a huge giveaway, which we do. We've got one coming up. I think it's in May is what we decided, May 16th. Yeah. So it really depends. I don't know. I don't keep OHCs if it's available in Omni format, unless it's mapped different. Like I have Fear Agent. This is so ridiculous. I'm looking at my Fear Agent by Image. Right behind that is my Dark Horse version, because there's a CB Cebulski story that is not collected in the Fear Agent Image version. Yeah, they left it out for some reason. I was like, dang it. Now I got to keep both. So that's ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, sometimes the older printing goes, sometimes the newer printing goes. And I don't like to keep 2 copies of the same book. That's just crazy. Even my X-Men, I've given away multiple times copies of X-Men, then the different Omnis that have come out. So yeah, I guess which version is better collected. If it has more stuff in it, I will keep that. Or if it's in a better format, I'll get rid of the trade paperback. To me, I love the Omnis. So if it's an omnibus, I don't have to keep the deluxe edition nor the trade.
Is there a rereadability factor? Like if you read something and you're like, I liked it, but I'll probably never read it again. Does it automatically go?
Yeah, unless I was like, this is too good of a story. Maybe I should keep it for a hidden gems. And then that kind of gets ridiculous because I'm like, oh my gosh, my hidden gem shelf is just, I don't think I have enough time in this life to do a hidden gem every month with all these books. But I mean, that realism kicks in, and I'm like, I gotta start getting rid of more books. That does happen.
Well, I want to thank the community, the Omnibus Cafe community, YouTube folks, and the Near Mint Discord for supplying some additional questions, even the one about pants.
That was a tough one.
That's hard hitting journalism right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Omar,
Comics.
again, I very much appreciate you coming on and doing this. I know you're a very busy guy. So thanks for spending the time on our little channel. It was fantastic to meet you. This might be silly, but maybe tell people where they can find you.
Oh, it's not silly at all. I am on YouTube, Near Mint Condition. And we are also on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and Blue Sky. I don't know what else we're on. But yeah, I'm the Uncanny Omar, and that's where you can find my channel. Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. I really appreciate it, man. It's a good conversation.
Absolutely. I look forward to talking to you again. Thanks, Omar.
Thank you.
If you're looking for great deals on collected edition comics or manga, we recommend shopping at panelboundcomics.com. They offer free shipping on orders over $30, plus bundled discounts to help you save even more. And if you're shopping from Europe or the UK, comicsbugle.com offers free EU shipping and a rewards program for regular buyers. Don't forget to use our discount codes at checkout.